name is Naruto Uchiha, and I will be the one that avenges my clan. Believe it.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Neon Pow here, and this week we're doing the movie to What If Naruto Was an Uchiha Shippuden version. Now, if you have not seen the original Part 1 movie, I highly recommend you do so, and I have that in the description and in the card above. Also guys, 85% of you watching this video are not subscribed, so please subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with the weekly juicy what ifs coming to you. Also guys, here's some big news. I will be continuing this series only if you guys are able to get this video to 10,000 likes. So let's see if you beasts are up for the challenge. Now, let's hop right into the video. We last left our Uchiha twins duking it out against their older brother, Itachi Uchiha. By the end of the fight, they had ended up defeating their ultimate villain. But it wasn't the revenge Naruto or Sasuke Uchiha had expected. Naruto had completely changed personalities, as if he was a different person, and left with Kabuto, while Sasuke was left for dead, with Itachi to fall to his death. However, our over-enthusiastic bundle of joy, Menmo Uzumaki, aka Rock Lee, managed to arrive on the scene and save Sasuke, and in part, Itachi. We'll have to catch up with Naruto Uchiha later, as right now, Sai has ambushed Rock Lee in hopes to seal Sasuke and Itachi's Sharingans for Danzo. With that, we resume our story. Lee hasn't ever really had any contact with Sai before and isn't sure what kind of tricks or powers he possesses. However, he knows what he has to do. If Itachi is telling him the truth, he needs to transplant his eyes to Sasuke and save his friends' vision. With no time to waste, Lee takes a gamble and attempts to finally use his sixth inner gate. To his surprise, he gains a green aura and is able to stabilize it in a new state. Sai has not had any info on this new power and doesn't know what to expect. Lee, with his new power and speed, looks at Sai and then in a blink of an eye, roundhouse kicks Sai into the distance. He then picks up the two Uchiha bodies and quickly speeds his way back to the village before Sai has a chance to recover and come back after them. Lee hates the scummy tactic as he would love to have an actual fight, but his friend's safety comes first. He reaches the village and goes to Tsunade and updates her about the current situation. Lee refrains from telling her about Naruto leaving with Kabuto and says instead he was abducted by Orochimaru so that his other friend will not be targeted as a rogue ninja. He also mentions that Sai attempted to attack him for some odd reason. Tsunade does find this whole situation confusing and problematic and will need to conduct a further investigation to get down to a conclusion. She is also hesitant on transferring the Sharingans as they could be falling into the now deceased Itachi's trap. With some persuasion from Lee and her not wanting the ninja that just brought down one of the Leaf's biggest enemies to stay blind, she goes with the surgery. While Tsunade transplants Itachi's eyes into Sasuke and finishes healing him, Lee keeps guard. The procedure ends up being a success, with Sasuke finally regaining consciousness. Tsunade says his eyes will need a few weeks to heal and adjust. A few weeks end up flying by with Lee just continuing his training regimen, and the time for Sasuke to remove his bandages arrive. As Tsunade predicted, Sasuke's light has come back. Sasuke, while grateful to have his vision back, feels disgusted that even after they killed their despicable older brother, he'll have to live knowing he is carrying his eyes. With that said, Lee invites Sasuke to go training and discuss some important details about what happened during the Itachi fight. Lee says that he saw Naruto leaving with Kabuto, and that he just left you to fall to your death without batting an eye. That is definitely something he would never do. Sasuke just stands there in silence from what he just heard. He also knows that Naruto attempted to steal his eyes, but hesitated to do so. Sasuke tells Lee that whatever is going on with Naruto, he must be under some genjutsu, as the abrupt personality change just doesn't make sense. Lee doesn't really know what to do in this grim situation, so he does what he knows best. He looks at Sasuke, gives him a thumbs up, and says,
Naruto is probably just going under some secret training, and we should do the same, so we don't get left behind.
Sasuke just looks at Lee and thinks to himself, he will never get used to this overly positive personality. He then sighs and agrees to get some sparring in since he hasn't had a chance to test out his new eyes yet. Lee gives Sasuke the okay to go all out, so he wants to test Sasuke's full power. Sasuke then activates his Mangekyo, which Lee notices looks a bit different than before, and as he is rushing towards Lee, he ends up pausing and collapsing to the floor. He just looks around in confusion as he doesn't know what just happened. And then he slowly approaches Sasuke as he thinks maybe this is some type of new secret move? In reality, what is happening is that once Sasuke activated his Mangekyo, Itachi's pre-programmed Tsukuyomi was activated, transferring Sasuke's consciousness into that world. Sasuke just remembers beginning to spar with Lee, but now he sees his older brother, Itachi, standing before him. Even though Sasuke knows he killed Itachi, he doesn't hesitate to attack, but Itachi stops him and tells him he doesn't want to fight anymore. Sasuke of course doesn't want to hear any of it, but Itachi then tells him that he knows about the situation with Naruto and offers to help save him. This new information intrigues Sasuke for a second, but he knows he can't trust a single word Itachi says. Itachi then proceeds to let Sasuke know that he will show him his past memories, since he has done lying to his brother, and believes Sasuke is now powerful and mature enough to handle it. Sasuke gets overloaded with all the information of his brother. The real reason behind the extermination of the clan and why Itachi was forced to do so by Danzo was that so Itachi could keep the two people dearest to him, Naruto and Sasuke, safe. Once Itachi reveals all the secrets to Sasuke, he then proceeds to tell Sasuke that in his current state, he may have the power to defeat Danzo, but not enough experience to combat his tricks. He also mentions that Sasuke will need to head to the Uchiha hideout, as Itachi has left an important item for him to retrieve. For Sasuke, he has just learned an overwhelming amount of new information, but he knows who his true enemy is. Sasuke has a clear mind and knows that if he wants to save Naruto and do justice for Itachi, he needs to eliminate the corrupt tyrant that is known as Danzo. As the Tsukuyomi is beginning to end, Itachi smiles at Sasuke and gives him a 2-finger tap on the forehead, telling him that he wishes he was a better brother to him and Naruto. The Tsukuyomi ends, and Sasuke finally wakes up to see Lee inches from his face. He then slaps Lee to get away from him. Sasuke then apologizes to Lee, and then tells him that they'll need to continue their fight another time, as he isn't feeling too well and needs to take care of some other things. Lee is sad, but understands, and the both of them take their leave. Sasuke sneaks out of the village to head to the Uchiha hideout, where Itachi had told him to go. Once he gets there, he begins searching for the secret door and manages to find it after a few hours. However, the door is locked and there isn't a key to get in. Sasuke then notices a reflected part of the door and comes up with an idea. He activates his Mangekyo and looks at the black reflected orb, and the door actually unlocks. As he opens the door slowly, a crow springs out at him and goes down his throat. This makes Sasuke cough profusely and vomit. He hasn't a clue on what just happened, but only sees a note in the empty room that explains the crow has a special power that could be useful in the future, and that Itachi is entrusting it to his brother. Sasuke isn't too sure what the crow will help him with, but he'd rather not think of the experience again and heads back to the village. Both Sasuke and Lee know that for the time being, they have to trust Naruto is okay. They know with the little info they have, they can't do much. The best thing they can do is attempt to get substantially stronger in the meantime. And with that, 3 years pass by in a blink of an eye. Sasuke has been training with Kakashi Sensei, exploring more of his new visual prowess and advancing his lightning styles. Lee, on the other hand, split up his training between Guy Sensei and Jiraiya. With Guy Sensei, Lee was able to further his taijutsu training by learning, in theory, to open all 8 gates. With Jiraiya, he was given pointers on how to access and control the Nine Tails' power. However, most of the work came down to Kurama's cooperation, which actually surprised Lee when Kurama spoke out to him to say, in a grudging tone,
"Lee, I'm willing to allow you to work under me at no cost, so that no mongrel or those wretched Uchiha shall raise a finger to our power."
Lee can now actually partially access the Nine Tails chakra cloak, which he calls Kurama Friendship Mode! Whenever Kurama's willing, Sasuke and Lee have most definitely used this time gap to make some massive gains. To put their max power on scale, Sasuke is in a similar power to his canon War Art counterpart, while Lee is on par with Canon War Arc Naruto, and can multiply that strength depending on which gate he opens. Lee has currently not tried combining Kurama Friendship Mode with his inner gates, as he doesn't know what could happen. As Sasuke and Lee are sparring with one another and testing out their new abilities, the two ponder about what Naruto is currently doing. As we switch over to Naruto, he is currently being tucked away in one of Orochimaru's hideout, where Danzo is grooming him through power and mind. Over the time period, Naruto has not only advanced his control over his senju cells, but has advanced his mangekyo visual prowess. He has discovered that in one eye, he can perform a type of time stop jutsu that freezes anyone within a 10-meter distance to him for 10 seconds, while his other eye gives him the ability to change the material of his body based on what he looks at. While both jutsus are powerful and are enhanced due to his senju cells, Naruto is still strictly limited due to the massive chakra consumption and the potential of leading to his blindness, since he does not have the internal Mangekyo Sharingan, even though his senju cells does heal and replenish his eyes to an extent. Danzo, however, is getting restless with Orochimaru and his entire operations. He is also scheming of a way to integrate Naruto back into the Leaf Village so that he can go with his plan to place Naruto in the Hokage spot, with him controlling everything from behind the scenes. As Danzo is thinking of a way, a large grin is produced on his face. He realized a simple tactic on how to raise Naruto's overall status with the people in the village. With Naruto's strength being unmatched, he would just command him to eliminate Orochimaru and his squad, as Danzo does not see any more use from them. From a distance, Kabuto, who was suspicious about Danzo to begin with, overhears the plan and goes to quickly warn Orochimaru. Danzo realizes Kabuto is there, but he feels that pest isn't even worth fretting over, since Naruto won't have any issues whether they are prepared or not. With that, Naruto quickly makes his way to where Orochimaru is. When he arrives, he is welcomed by Orochimaru himself, Kabuto, and the Sound 4. Orochimaru refused to run away, as that seemed beneath him, especially when Danzo was so nice enough to send him his Uchiha vessel. Orochimaru says with a bloodshot red face and breathy voice,
Naruto, I would hate to lose the opportunity to gain such a strong and powerful Uchiha body.
He is obviously overwhelmed by his lust for the Uchihas and underestimates Naruto's extent and power. The two parties charge at each other, and once they collide, a huge explosion forms. The two parties clash with one another, and the fight begins. Since Naruto is a pure killing machine at this point, he is currently going all out. This means that Naruto is fully utilizing his senju cells and fully activated his Mangekyo. As Orochimaru is licking his lips at the sight of Naruto, Naruto smirks villainously and says that he wants to level the playing field a bit. Then, in the matter of milliseconds, Naruto obliterates Jirobu and Tayuya, two of the Sound 4. Orochimaru and his squad just turn around slowly in surprise, not realizing what just happened. In these few milliseconds, Naruto used one of his Mangekyo to change his fist composition into metal, and then proceeded to use his other eye to stop time for 10 seconds within a 10-meter vicinity, giving him plenty of time to do what he needed to do. Once Orochimaru gets this taste of the Uchiha's power, his body begins to pulsate, and then goes... He then tells the remaining Sound 4, or technically Sound 2, and Kabuto that our little Uchiha is getting a bit feisty, and that we'll need to tame him. They are required to get serious and power up fully. He instructs Sakon, Ukon, and Kirimaru, who are now in their second state, Curse Mark, to engage with Naruto. With the Curse Mark overtaking their emotions and seeing their close comrades eliminated like it was nothing, they begin yelling and don't hesitate to attack. Naruto sees the two charge at him, and he begins creating a wood-style barrier to stop their movements. But Naruto quickly notices that the second state Curse Mark enhances one's ability to unhuman levels. Kirimaru uses his overpowered arrows to obliterate all the wood, while Sakon/Ukon charge Naruto from opposite sides in a pincer move. As Naruto's cockiness had got to him, He currently now has to wait for his Mangekyo to cool down and has to take the full brunt of the blow. Fortunately, he is able to enhance his body with some hardened wood armor to cushion the force, but he is still going flying back into the trees. The two Sound Ninja believe they got some good damage on Naruto, but then sees Naruto raise his hand in the air like he just doesn't care, and then a bolt of lightning strikes Ukon, frying him in the process. Naruto then steps out of the forest, cracking his neck, and begins laughing maniacally. This makes the remaining Sound Ninjas step back a bit, but Orochimaru orders them to keep fighting, so they do. Kirimaro shoots out a barrage of arrows at Naruto, but Naruto uses his Sharingan to easily matrix through them all as he walks towards them. As he is doing so, Naruto is powering up his super Chidori. Sakon goes to avenge his brother by trying to quickly speed around Naruto and hit his blind spot, but Naruto just grabs him by the neck and slams him to the ground. As Naruto is about to pierce Sakon's heart, he is grappled by Ukon, who is miraculously still clinging to life after being hit by a Kirin. This gives Sakon enough time to free himself and restrains Naruto from the front, setting up Kirimaro with a perfect shot. The brothers Sakon and Ukon yell to take the shot, and Kirimaro releases his most powerful projectile at the immobilized trio, and a massive explosion forms, vaporizing everything in a 20-meter radius from the blast. However, as the dust clears, a white, glowing aura manifests. All traces of the two Sound Ninjas were wiped clean, but Naruto still remains, protected by his Susanoo. Before Kirimaro can register what just happened, Naruto sends a fire-infused lightning blast towards him, which disintegrates him completely. All that is left now is Orochimaru and Kabuto versus the Susanoo-powered Naruto. Orochimaru is emotionally overwhelmed by all the girth of power of the Uchiha boy before him. However, he does realize that through power alone, he doesn't stand a chance against him, especially in his weakened state. But through observing the battle, he has a plan that could edge him over Naruto. However, Orochimaru is assuming he has seen all of what Naruto has to offer. Orochimaru and Kabuto work together to summon the giant snake summoning, so they can combat Naruto's giant Susanoo. The snake shoots poison acid at Naruto, which looks like it is deteriorating his Susanoo. Then, the snake whips its tail and smacks Naruto 100 meters back, destroying a section of the forest in the process. Naruto realizes he will need it to increase his speed and firepower if he wishes to eliminate the giant snake. So, he forms a giant wooden golem to assist him. The golem gets a hold of the snake as it is trying to slither away, and Naruto slices it right in half, leaving Orochimaru and Kabuto without a summoning. Naruto, not seeing it necessary to waste any more chakra, despawns his golem and Susanoo, readying to face off Orochimaru in his human form. However, Orochimaru begins to smirk, and Naruto's cockiness gets to him, as he doesn't realize where Kabuto is. Before Naruto can search for him, he feels the ground under him open up. Kabuto grabs his ankles and severs his Achilles tendons using his scapular jutsu hand blades, causing Naruto to fall to his knees, unable to move and immobilized. Before Naruto can perform any wood style, Orochimaru is on top of him with his 8-headed serpent technique and about to impale Naruto with his sword. Naruto, in the brief moment, begins to feel his life flash before his eyes. But then, out of a stroke of luck, the cooldown time on his visual prowess resets, and Naruto activates his time freeze and body modifying jutsu. He sees Orochimaru millimeters away from his vital spot. He uses this time to slash Kabuto's hands right off, activate his Senju healing, and grabs Orochimaru out of the serpent's head. As the 10 seconds are almost up, Naruto charges his most powerful Chidori and electrocutes Orochimaru until only the dust of his body remains. With Orochimaru dead, and Kabuto screaming in agony from his hands chopped off, Naruto has completed his task. To shut up Kabuto, Naruto puts him under Genjutsu, so he can bring him back to Danzo just in case he needs intel from him. Naruto doesn't realize it, but his overwhelming cockiness of his power that Danzo had implemented in his mind almost got the better of him. Naruto also remembers seeing memories of another Uchiha while his life was flashing before him. This all gets pushed back because of the brainwashing, but it is a good note to point out. After this battle, Danzo feels it is now the perfect opportunity to introduce Naruto back into the Leaf Village. He had worked hand in hand with the other two village elders to get their approval on this idea, getting around Tsunade. They will bring Naruto in as the hero that avenged the third Hokage by defeating the tyrant that is Orochimaru, went on a secret S-ranked mission over 3 years. The villagers are ecstatic to hear such good news and welcome Naruto with cheers. All of this news eventually reaches Sasuke Uchiha and in part Rock Lee and Kakashi Sensei, who are all surprised to hear Naruto has returned out of the blue. They attempt to greet him but are stopped halfway by Danzo's root ninja, saying Naruto is currently tired and needs some time alone to rest. Lee, being as enthusiastic as ever, says that
"There's no way Naruto won't want to see us after so long,"
and begins trouting through. However, he is stopped by a hand on his shoulder from Sasuke, who just gives Lee a glare, which after training for so long together, Lee understands what he means. The trio back off and returns back to their meeting spot. Sasuke has always been suspicious that something had changed with Naruto after he came back from his surgery years prior as kids. He has been investigating the matter, and especially during the last 3 years, on what truly happened to Naruto all those years back. With the most recent information he received from his older brother, Itachi Uchiha, and now seeing Naruto being so heavily guarded by Danzo's minions, the pieces have all fallen together. However, Sasuke doesn't reveal that to the others, as 1, he doesn't want them to put him in jeopardy, and 2, knowing Lee, he won't shut up his mouth. Sasuke instead has been proactive, attempting to develop a jutsu that could possibly reverse Naruto's brainwashed state. To further prove his hypothesis, Sasuke, with the help of Itachi's memories, was able to gather information about a jutsu that fit his needs from the Uchiha's tablet. The jutsu was called Izanami, a jutsu that puts the enemy in a powerful genjutsu that won't be released until the person satisfies the user's requirements. Sasuke also knows that if he chooses to use this jutsu, that he will be sacrificing one of his Sharingan. But he isn't worried about that because saving his only remaining family member from the grasps of the scumbag Danzo takes precedence. Through the massive intel that Danzo has in the leaf, he has always been on the edge with Sasuke. He knows that indeed the Uchiha is powerful, and that if left unchecked long enough, he would interfere with his plans. He can't stand for the disgracefulness that someone else has access to all that power, especially a lowly Uchiha and his village. Before Sasuke can get in his way, he instructs his pawn, Naruto, to dispose of Sasuke. Naruto, hearing this, begins to stutter for a second. Danzo then repeats himself and asks if there is any problem from what he says. Naruto then responds, "No sir." With that, both Sasuke and Naruto are both assigned a secret mission that requires the two of them to leave the village immediately. Danzo will use this as an excuse to cover up Sasuke's death by an unexpected casualty caused mid-mission. With this sudden course of events, Sasuke is clever enough to know that Danzo has finally chosen now to eliminate him, and worst of all, using his own brother. As the two silently leave the Konoha borders, Naruto slowly gets behind what looks like an unsuspecting Sasuke and pierces Sasuke through the back with a Chidori. Naruto, with a poker face, Chidori'd Sasuke in the back. However, the second that happens, similar to Itachi's jutsu, Sasuke bursts out into hundreds of crows. Naruto is confused about what is going on, and at first can't believe Itachi is still alive. However, standing before him is his only twin brother, Sasuke, looking overwhelmed with sadness after witnessing his brother attempting to kill him. Before the two left for their mission, Sasuke discreetly put Naruto under a small genjutsu since he wanted to see if Naruto would go through with the assassination. Naruto may have had the upper hand with physical prowess, but Sasuke's long history with the Sharingan and his overwhelming intelligence puts him over the edge into his mental prowess. Sasuke yells at Naruto, trying to get him to get the strength to snap out of the genjutsu Danzo has put him under. He further says they are the last remaining two Uchihas, and more yet, they are family. They shouldn't be fighting to the death. Unfortunately, Naruto brainwashing is so deep that he sees Sasuke not as his brother, but as an enemy to the leaf and himself. He will kill him with his bare hands for the better of the village if he has to. Sasuke is so hurt by this that a tear begins running down his cheek. But he knows that this isn't the real Naruto. He can feel the real Naruto is still in there somewhere and believes that the jutsu he has been working on, Izanami, will be able to snap him out of it even at the cost of his own eye. The two start their brotherly battle to the death. Naruto begins the fight by releasing a forest devastation to provide himself with cover from Sasuke's genjutsu. This gives Naruto the cover needed to quickly close the distance between Sasuke and smash his brother with a powerful blow, sending him 40 meters back and knocking the wind out of him. As Sasuke emerges from the forest, he releases a flurry of Amaterasu and controlling its spread to only disintegrate the wood, as he doesn't want to kill his brother. He uses Naruto's confusion and lag to get the jump on him and smash him into the ground. However, since Naruto is just built different, he locks eyes with Sasuke and kicks him away, barely flinching with the devastating hit. As Sasuke backs up from the hit, he coughs up blood. Naruto is standing there before him looking like a ravaged animal, looking completely indistinguishable to Sasuke. Sasuke knows that he won't be able to defeat Naruto at this rate, and he must enact his plan now. Sasuke begins to yell, and he activates his Susanoo. He believes that this should give him the upper hand, since Naruto doesn't actually have the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan or the experience in this form when compared to himself. Naruto, seeing this, instinctively activates his Susanoo as well. Sasuke charges an arrow and sends it towards Naruto. Naruto, thinking he can just block it, misinterprets the speed of the arrow and his own Susanoo defenses. The arrow completely shatters the Susanoo's left side, leaving Naruto dazed. Sasuke uses his opportunity to grapple Naruto to the ground and begins wailing on his brother. As he is sending each blow, he is yelling at Naruto to snap out of it, you idiot! Then, for just a split second, Naruto begins speaking, saying, "Sasuke, is that you? What's happening?" However, Danzo, who is watching the battle from a distance, sends a pulse to Naruto's brain, adding more corruption and turning Naruto back into his brainless pawn. This brings him back into the fight, and he pushes Sasuke off with the force created by his sheer power. As this is happening, Sasuke yells, "Amaterasu!" and the black flames begin to engulf Naruto's Susanoo. The only way Naruto can survive from being consumed by the flames is to deactivate his Susanoo, leaving him in the base form. The constant chakra consumption of the Amaterasu gets to Sasuke, and his Susanoo form also deactivates. With the two brothers 10 meters away from each other and exhausted, they look to attempt a finishing blow. However, Sasuke has been doing other things during this battle. He has been creating specific instances needed for the Izanami to work, and all he needs to do now is activate it. Danzo from a distance noticed something is off about Sasuke and needs to finish him quickly. He screeches to Naruto inside his head to do it, end it all. Sasuke has already begun to activate the Izanami. However, before it can fully complete and his eyes loses his sight, Naruto activates his Mangekyo powers to stop time and in turn Sasuke right in his tracks. He then uses his other ability to turn his fist into a spiky metal. From the outside perspective, it looks like Naruto just teleported to Sasuke and impaled his brother right through the heart with his fist. Sasuke, internally sad that he just wasn't strong enough to save his brother, looks at Naruto and smiles. For Sasuke's dying last moments, he looks at his brother and is caressing his cheek. As Sasuke is about to open his mouth to tell Naruto his last words, he coughs up a black crow. This is the same crow that Itachi used to implant Shushui's other eye. Itachi had programmed it to be triggered in the worst case scenario such as this. The Genjutsu reversal is a success in bringing the original Naruto back. However, when Naruto comes to, he sees his fist inside his brother's chest. Naruto begins shrieking from the sight he is bared with. He calls for Sasuke to wake up and to please say something. He has no idea what's going on and needs his only brother. Naruto slowly puts down his Sasuke's lifeless, bloodied body and begins quietly sobbing. Then begins to yell, getting angrier and smashing the ground. As he is doing this, he hears Danzo behind him. He says, You have done well, my pupil. Now we can keep the leaf safe with no annoying trash mucking around. Naruto, hearing Danzo just call the only family he really knew trash, makes him snap. Naruto turns around to look at Danzo with a ravaging glare. What Danzo sees astonishes him. Naruto has unlocked the Rinnegan. However, not much time is left for Danzo to process this info, as in the next milliseconds, his head is on the ground and is looking up at his body. Unfortunately, this doesn't kill Danzo, as he activates the Izanagi in Sushui's eye. He was forced to waste it since he didn't want to die. However, Naruto isn't done in the slightest. Naruto continues to rip and shred Danzo to pieces, making him use up all his Sharingan to Izanagi one by one. Danzo is unable to get away and is feeling the pain of dying over and over again until he realizes he has no more Sharingan to use. Once he figures this out, he begins to grovel on the floor to Naruto to please spare him, as he didn't mean any harm to him or his precious brother. He was just doing everything he could to protect the village. Even though Naruto is fueled with rage, his gullibility gets to him, and he hesitates to kill Danzo. However, Danzo doesn't expect to die here alone, and since Naruto is no longer under his control, he no longer needs him, and he needs to dispose of the Uchiha trash. As the last-ditch effort, he uses his opportunity to activate his self-destructing curse mark jutsu to annihilate everything within the vicinity. Naruto, seeing this, refeels his rage, and before Danzo can release the devastating blow, Naruto instinctively activates the human path of his Rinnegan and extracts the soul of Danzo. This officially confirms Danzo's fate, not even letting his soul to pass on. As the fighting has ended, Naruto begins to calm down slightly. He looks back around at the body of his motionless twin brother. Naruto just can't help to keep weeping at the sight. But before he loses all hope, Naruto feels his hand almost move automatically, and he begins signing for a specific jutsu. This jutsu being Rinne Rebirth. After it is completed, a flash of light is produced, and Sasuke begins to start breathing again, and starts coughing. Sasuke looks around, unsure on what just happened, but then just feels Naruto hugging him tightly and crying profusely. Sasuke is about to ask Naruto what's wrong, but decides to just embrace his brother instead, and the two have their long-awaited reunion. After the two Uchihas have had some time to catch up after so many years and finally get some rest, they decided that it's time for them to head back home to the Hidden Leaf Village. As the two approach the wall and enter through the giant gate, the two immediately drop to the ground from the sight before them. The Leaf Village has been completely desolated, with nothing but a giant crater left in its current spot. On the last episode, Orochi has managed to survive their brotherly death battle. Sasuke, with the help of the deceased Itachi, was able to save Naruto from the grips of Danzo. On top of that, because of Danzo's recklessness, Naruto, out of rage, obliterated the tyrant and extracted his soul. Even though Sasuke unfortunately died for a bit, Naruto was able to subconsciously test his Rinne Rebirth after he unlocked his Rinne Sharingan. The jutsu had used the life force extracted from Danzo's soul to revive Sasuke. On top of that, since Naruto now understands the mechanics of this new, possibly powerful jutsu, he can use it to revive at most one person per use. This is possible because of the enormous amount of stamina and power he gets from being an Uchiha Senju mutant. However, the drawback is that he will be completely drained for a day, and if he exceeds the one person limit using his own reserves, he will die. With that, Naruto and Sasuke make their way back to the Hidden Leaf Village, but they return to a giant crater where their lush village once stood. Both are furious with themselves for having been caught up with their mess, as they weren't able to help the Leaf Village and believe they lost everyone. A few moments pass and they hear,
Hey guys, why are you so sad?
The Uchihas quickly look up to see their friend Lee standing before them, looking very tattered. Both Naruto and Sasuke have so many questions that they need answering and don't know where to begin. Lee just sits down next to them and tells them,
Not to worry, I'll explain everything. Story time!
We push back a few hours prior. The Uchihas had just left for their mission, and in the far darkness, there was lurking a malicious presence. The Akatsuki, with Pain as the lead, had received intel that a situation like this would arise. They had been capturing all the tail beasts for the world domination plan, and the Nine Tails was the last left on their radar. They knew it would almost be impossible to capture Lee at his current state with the Uchiha's presence in the village. So, they had been waiting for the time where the Uchihas would be gone. Pain, being very meticulous with his plan, did not want to make any chances to get foiled. So, even with not knowing where Lee was exactly, he would destroy the entire Leaf Village to force Lee out of hiding. Lee was currently running laps in a handstand formation outside the Leaf Village, but his training came to a complete stop when he heard the giant boom coming from the village. As he rushes back in a flash, he sees a giant hole where the Leaf Village once stood. On top of that, he sees his teammates, Tenten and Neji, standing before the Pains. Lee witnesses Neji pushing Tenten out of the way to save her, and Neji gets impaled by the Diva Path. This, of course, changes Lee's attitude to something that we've never seen before, a serious mode. Without hesitation, Lee activates his 6th gate and immediately crushes the Diva Path with one punch before he can do any more destruction. This surprise attack causes an uproar many meters away. Lee can faintly hear shrieking and crying from a distance. Nagato, the real mastermind, has just seen his precious friend's body, Yahiko, get demolished, and Konan, after hearing this news, is also paying dearly. However, she quickly tells Nagato that they can fix him using the Naruto path, which can repair damage. Nagato is relieved, but to his dismay, while they were out of focus, Lee used the opportunity to destroy the Naruto path. That was of course a fluke, but completely ruined Nagato. Not only did he just lose 2 of his paths in an instant, one of them was his most precious Pain, and the other Pain was used to bring back the damaged ones. Now his arsenal was drastically hindered. Alas, Nagato couldn't let this unforeseen predicament falter his plan. The Nine Tails was right in front of him, and he needed to capture it. Nagato sends out an Asura Path, Robot Boy, next. The Pain shoots out rockets towards Lee, but with his speed, Lee is easily able to dodge them and actually send them back towards the Pain. This is unexpected, and the Asura Path gets hit. Fortunately for it, not too much damage was occurred. However, Lee uses this confusion and smoke to go in for a counterattack. Nagato, not wanting to lose his path, uses the human path to get in the way and take the hit, sacrificing it in the process. Now with 3 Pains down, all that is left is the Asura path for direct attacks, the animal path for back cover using summoning, and the Predator path used for absorbing ninjutsu and currently just chilling in the background since they are fighting against a taijutsu user. Nagato decides to now use both the Asura and animal paths together to overwhelm Lee. As the Asura path is shooting blasts and attempting to get some damage on Lee, the animal path has begun summoning and finally getting a good hit on Lee from the back. Lee has attempted to end the fight quickly since the 6th gate can be quite draining on his body, and he is now starting to feel its effects. Nagato uses the animal path to talk to Lee as he is on the ground. He proclaims his beliefs about pain and his motivation, saying that his pain is far greater than yours. Pain also mentions that if he hopes to save this cursed world, that they will need to extract the Nine Tails from him, just like they did to the Kazekage. This is the first time hearing that his friend, Gaara, had been killed, and on top of that, they wanted to steal his closest partner, Kurama, from him. Lee is smashing the ground beneath him. He doesn't necessarily feel hate for the villain before him, but something else altogether that just can't be explained. All he knows is that he needs to defeat Pain, so that no more innocent people will be hurt without reason. Furthermore, as much as he wants to take care of this battle on his own with his power, he feels he might need to call on his partner Kurama for some assistance. As Lee is contemplating this decision and holding his own to the best he can against the 2 Pains, we pan over to the other Akatsuki members and see what trouble they are causing to the Leaf. The first Akatsuki member we will focus on is Hidan, who is currently looking for sacrifices for his lord and savior, Jashin. He manages to find a few and begins his ritual. However, before the sacrifice is completed, Asuma and Kuronai manage to stop Hidan just in time and save the villager. This of course makes Hidan furious and looks for these 2 ninjas to be the sacrifices. Asuma was able to defeat Hidan and Kanon, and now with the help of Kurenai, they seem to stand a better chance. The two begin their fight with the Akatsuki member. Secondly, we have Kakazu, who is currently looking for some perfect specimens for his heart replacements. However, before he's able to kill any, he is confronted by the duo Kakashi and Guy. Kakashi in the universe is especially strong due to him training with the visual prowess with the Uchiha twins. So, with the help of Guy, the two seem to have the upper hand in this fight. Thirdly, we have Sasori. He ironically goes against his fellow Sand Ninja, Kankuro, Granny Chiyo, and Tamari. Coincidentally, they are in the Leaf Village for a diplomatic mission to tell Tsunade that the Kazekage was killed by the Akatsuki and that they would be coming to the Leaf Village, which they currently are. The fight seems like it could be tough, but fortunately, with more intel, the Sand Ninja, especially Kankuro, know what they are going against and can counteract properly. And finally, the Akatsuki with the most potential destructive power, Deidara. We have the remaining rookie 6, Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, Shino, Hinata, and Kiba going against this artistic Akatsuki member. With this team's large skill set and Shikamaru's intelligence, they seem that they will be able to disarm Deidara without him causing too much explosive damage. Now back to Lee in his fight against the 3 remaining Pains. As Lee is being trampled by the 2 attacking Pains, he begins to yell, "Kurama Friendship Mode!" awakening his QB state on top of his 6th inner gate. The exertion of energy pushes all the Pains off of him, giving him a second to breathe. Lee specifically notices that the wear and tear of opening the 6th gate is starting to be relieved, which makes him wonder. But he doesn't have much time as the Pains are beginning to retaliate against him. Lee is ready to end this battle now with the help of Kurama. He goes for a kick at the Asura Path to end him in one blow, but to his surprise, the Predapath jumps in the way and grabs Lee's leg and begins draining him. Lee, fortunately, is fast enough to notice this and doesn't lose too much of Kurama's chakra. Deep within Lee, Kurama is pretty pissed to have lost some of his chakra to the human, and he tells Lee a plan he has. Lee is surprised to hear Kurama take such an active role and says, "Yosh!" to the plan. As the two parties are fighting, the next time Lee goes in for the punch at the Asura Path, and the Predapath jumps in the way, Kurama pulls back his chakra and Pain is given a full force of pure raw power and is crushed by a single blow. Now that the only Pain that could keep Lee under check is eliminated, Lee destroys the Asura Path with a Leaf Whirlwind. As the summonings are attempting to surround him, Lee uses the Kurama Chakra Cloak to push all of them back. He then speeds his way to the Animal Path and uses his Hidden Lotus, creating a massive crash in the ground, eliminating the final Pain. Lee had fun during his fight, but he is relieved it is over before any more people got injured. However, he knows that the fighting isn't over. Fortunately, it looks like the other Leaf Ninja have been able to slowly take care of the Akatsuki members that they were fighting. Lee can rest easy on the front as he still needs to take care of his business. While he is in KFM, he is able to sense a malicious presence in the far distance, which he deduces to be where the mastermind is hiding. Lee isn't mad, but he definitely needs to talk to this person. As Lee is making his way out the village, he bumps into Jiraiya Sensei. Jiraiya's first reaction to seeing Lee in the village in ruin causes him to drop his backpack to the ground. He then grabs Lee and asks him what happened. Lee updates Jiraiya on what all happened and where he has to go now. Jiraiya is relieved to hear that the casualties were low and asks Lee if he can come along with him. He has been doing some reconnaissance on the Pain character and feels he would be able to provide assistance. Lee is a bit hesitant but agrees to allow his sensei to come. As the two arrive, Konan is on guard, but Nagato tells her to not attack them. He then asks Lee if he is there to get his revenge for his friend and kill him. Lee then pauses for a second, remembering Neji, then tells Nagato that he doesn't want to kill him, as that wouldn't solve anything. Lee then gives him an over-enthusiastic Takano Jutsu to Nagato, changing his entire perspective. Jiraiya also apologizes to Nagato and Konan for not being there for them. Lee then asks if Nagato would join them in their quest to save the world without hate and revenge. Nagato, with his new mindset and now being on a better terms with his sensei, agrees to the new change as he sees Lee can actually succeed in his promise. However, Nagato doesn't return with the two back to the Leaf Village for obvious reasons. He instead relays crucial intel to Jiraiya about the real Akatsuki motives. He also reveals info about Madara, aka Tobi, and what he aims to do. Jiraiya and Lee now head back to the Leaf Village. Jiraiya leaves to relay this info to Tsunade, and this also is the time Lee spots the Uchiha twins coming into the village. Now, we return back to the present. The Uchihas are still shocked and can't believe that all that happened while they were gone. Lee encourages them and says that it was fine as they were dealing with their own predicament. He also says, fortunately, there was no casualties. Naruto then interjects and reminds Lee that Neji did die. Lee now realizes this and gets a bit saddened. However, Naruto then pats him on the back and says no worries, he'll take care of it. When they go over to Neji's body, Naruto uses Rinne Rebirth and Neji miraculously wakes back up. Tenten and Lee are happy to see Neji is back. Sasuke catches Naruto as he collapses from the drain of the jutsu, but says he's alright. Everyone laughs and cheers after a well-accomplished battle. Lee is even cheered as the village hero by the other villagers. However, even though it is good for our heroes to finally get a break from the constant turmoil, deep in the shadows, Tobi and Kisame are plotting their next big move on the entire shinobi world. In the last episode of Naruto Uchiha, we left our heroes finally defeating and recruiting Pain and Konan, joining their side and gaining some crucial intel about the remaining Akatsuki and Madara. Menmo Uzumaki, aka Rock Lee, was finally able to get recognition from the entire Leaf Village after so many years of being terrorized by them. Even Naruto Uchiha got some pats on the back from Tenten and the Hyuga clan for reviving Neji. Now, our heroes must assist in a reconstruction of the Leaf Village. Lee is challenging himself to build 10 houses in 20 seconds, and if he can't do that, he will do 20 houses in 10 seconds. As for Naruto, Jiraiya finally got to really meet Naruto officially. At closer inspection, he notices that Naruto possesses the power similar to Nagato. Jiraiya, being as clever as ever, knows that they'll need to have as much strength as they can for the upcoming battle that is slowly approaching. Jiraiya instructs Naruto that it would be wise to go visit Nagato in the village hidden in the rain for his guidance in training with the Rinnegan. Naruto, not really having any prior connection with Jiraiya, isn't really too keen on listening to his advice. However, Lee ends up overhearing this and comes by to motivate Naruto.
Naruto, it will be great training that way. You'll be even stronger the next time we fight together.
Naruto is still hesitant to go train with the man that destroyed the entire Leaf, but is finally convinced by his dear brother Sasuke to go see Nagato. Naruto leaves for the village hidden in the rain. At the same time, Tsunade comes out looking for him since she remembered Naruto has a very superior form of wood style and it could be a great jutsu to help with the reconstruction. Everyone just looks around nervously, realizing that they should have asked him to reconstruct the village before he left. Tsunade calls everyone idiots and scolds them for sending out their only capable wood style user away during such a crucial time. This is all going on as Yamato is standing behind her with teary eyes. With Naruto's enhanced speed, it doesn't take him long to arrive in the Rain Village, where Konan is waiting to escort him to Nagato. Jiraiya had sent a dossier earlier to notify Nagato about the arrangement prior. As Naruto awkwardly meets with the man that destroyed his Leaf Village for the first time, he is about to introduce himself, but before he can, he sees Nagato bowing to him and apologizing for his misdeeds. This, of course, surprises Naruto, but does help ease the tension knowing that Nagato is sincere with his commitment to turn a new leaf. Plus, Naruto thinks to himself that he wasn't necessarily in the best position since he wasn't all there for his friends for the past few years. Regardless, Naruto and Nagato finally introduce each other. Nagato takes special interest in Naruto's Rinnegan, since it appears to be slightly different from his. He isn't sure why this could be, but just leaves it to the idea that Naruto acquired his Rinnegan in a different manner, while Nagato believed he was just born with his. After the awkward introduction, Naruto's Rinnegan training begins. After weeks of honing his chakra control and many eye drops later, Naruto was able to master his Rinnegan prowess to a similar level to Nagato. The reason he was able to get such a steep level in a relatively short amount of time is because of his mutant power of being an Uchiha Hashirama hybrid, and of course being trained by an old-time master of the Rinnegan himself. On top of the normal path abilities that the general Rinnegan hold, Naruto was able to begin making a breakthrough on other special Rinnegan techniques such as time-space manipulation. However, before he was able to get to start on this possible power, two conspicuous shinobi wearing Akatsuki robes appeared before Naruto during his training on top of a large body of water. The man wearing a mask introduced himself as Madara Uchiha. While Naruto wasn't given much intel since he had to leave the village so soon, he did know to be very wary of this monster. Before the other Akatsuki member can even introduce himself, Naruto unleashes a Kirin lightning blast infused with a fire style onto the two, creating a massive explosion that is felt by both Konan and Nagato from a distance. Even after that powerful blast has dispersed, through his experiences Naruto has gone through up to this point and his most recent training with Nagato, he knows not to get overconfident mid-battle, even if his enemies look to have been vanquished. To lure out his enemies, he begins to act very overconfident and make it look like his guard is down. Then, just as he predicted, he feels Madara's presence behind him and the other Akatsuki member below his feet. Just before the two are able to pincer the Uchiha, Naruto smiles and says it's about time I get serious. Naruto unleashes a giant almighty push, throwing both of the unexpected shinobi into the distance. Naruto uses this chance as Madara's dazed to land a solid blow on his face and destroy his mask. However, to Naruto's surprise, he goes right through him. Madara then just smirks, but at the same time realizing he doesn't have any more time to waste. He yells to Kisame to go all out against this brat while he pays Nagato a visit. Naruto then just yells over my dead body and he attempts to attack Madara, but is immediately confronted by Kisame infused with Samehada. Naruto tries to get past Kisame, but him being on top of water and surrounded by rain, Kisame is in his most powerful element. Naruto doesn't have any time to play with this shark boy, but looks like the fight won't be easy. Kisame begins sending shark bombs towards Naruto, but he just uses his electricity to disarm them before they explode. However, as the water clears, Kisame is gone. Next thing Naruto knows is that he's being pulled down by Kisame into the water below him. In Kisame's current form, he can steal chakra just by touching Naruto. Naruto is able to feel himself being drained. However, a surprise to Kisame is that Naruto uses his wood style to wrap around Kisame's arm and begin draining his chakra. Kisame, now with more depleted chakra stores than Naruto, realizes that he can't find Naruto at close range. Fortunately for Kisame, he can breathe underwater in this form while awaiting for Naruto to drown. However, at closer inspection, Naruto is using his almighty push to create an air bubble around him, allowing him to breathe normally. This moment of shock is able to give Naruto some time to think. He needs to figure out a way to defeat Kisame quickly as he isn't sure what could be happening with Nagato and Konan. Then, it hits him. Naruto uses his almighty push to propel himself towards Kisame in the water. Kisame sees this as a suicide attempt because he unleashes his thousands of hungry sharks onto Naruto. However, to his surprise, he feels his body immediately propel forward towards Naruto, who is using the pull-in ability of his Diva Path. Naruto is able to get a hold of Kisame's head and quickly starts to use his human path to read his mind. Unfortunately, Naruto's only able to get a small bit of encrypted memories before Kisame's body begins to spawn hungry sharks that start to devour him. This was a failsafe set up by Kisame in case he was forced to leak intel. Naruto is pretty distraught about this annoyance, but has no time to waste and needs to rush over to Nagato. Unfortunately, as he arrives, he is too late. He sees a horrible sight. Nagato's lifeless body is tattered, and his Rinnegan looks to have been forcefully removed from his eye sockets. He then sees Konan on the floor next to a large puddle of blood. He is furious with himself for being so useless. As angry as he is with himself, he knows he needs to head back to the Leaf Village as quickly as possible to relay what just happened and deliver the little bit of intel he got from Kisame. As he is collecting Nagato and Konan's body, he feels that Konan is still breathing. This has now raised the urgency of the situation since she could still be saved. Naruto's chakra reserves are getting severely low, but regardless, he begins propelling himself quickly in the air using the Diva Path towards the Leaf Village. As Naruto is making his way, we switch over to the Leaf Village. Tsunade is instructing Sasuke, Jiraiya, Neji, and Tenten to go on a stealth mission to eliminate or capture the remaining Root Ninja. After Danzo's death, Sai has been growing the organization and his power in hopes of defeating the Uchihas for what they did to him and his master. Lee isn't assigned to this mission for obvious reasons. He is instead working with Guy Sensei to learn how to open the Forbidden Gate, the 8th Gate, so he stays in the village. Fortunately, Sasuke and Jiraiya have been able to get some good leads on where Sai is hiding out, and they immediately head there. Surprisingly, Sai is waiting for them as if he had expected them to arrive right on cue. Then, all of a sudden, our gang is surrounded by an army of Root Ninja. Neji, attempting to be heroic, takes the lead against a large wave of enemies, activating his Byakugan. In this state, he is able to have a 360 view of everyone in the vicinity, and he aims to use this ability to lead our heroes to victory as they are outnumbered 10-1. As Neji turns to Sasuke to relay his well thought out plan, a stray kunai flies right into Neji's blind spot and kills him right then and there. All we can hear in the background is Tenten yelling, "Neji, no!" In the last episode of Naruto Uchiha, Naruto has just had his first encounter with Madara Uchiha, the masked man, in Kisame. He is now rushing over to the Leaf Village to save Konan from the lethal blow she was inflicted with. On another battlefield, Sasuke, Jiraiya, and Tenten have gone to eliminate the menace of Sai and his root allies. Unfortunately, before the battle really began, Neji was lost due to a stray kunai hitting his blind spot. This is where we begin. Sasuke just witnessed his team member get taken down. He believed this would have been an easy fight against Sai with no casualties, but obviously he let his cockiness get to it. He was fed up with this entire ridiculous ordeal during such a crucial time for the Leaf Village. With Tenten providing support in the fence, Sasuke and Jiraiya go on the offensive. Sasuke activates his full power Susanoo, and Jiraiya summons Gamabunta. Even with all the powerful shinobi that possess unique skills in the root force, the sheer power gap could not be overwhelmed, and most of the forces are defeated with ease. Tenten uses her kunai summoning to capture the stragglers. By the end of the battle, all that is left is Sai. Sai, with his back cornered to the wall, starts to go hysterical. He begins speaking nonsense and revealing his craziness. These actions throw red flags at Sasuke, as even though he didn't know Sai all too well, Sai wasn't acting as himself. Sasuke then tells Jiraiya his observations, and he responds by saying that it could be possible that Sai could still be under control from the deceased Danzo. After his death, it could have been possible to have triggered some jutsu to control Sai as the last act of enacting his will. Sasuke, now that his suspicions are verified, his plan is to save Sai from this horrible fate forced upon him by the bastard Danzo. Sasuke gets out of his Susanoo form and begins to combat Sai, sword to sword. As the two slashes at each other, Sasuke uses his visual prowess against Sai in an attempt to snap him back. Sai begins yelling from the two mental forces colliding in his head. This causes the pale teen to go unconscious. Sasuke isn't sure if his genjutsu reversal was a success, but he is glad that the charade is finally over. Our team ties up the goons, and they head back to the Leaf Village. Surprisingly, after the gruesome battle, there was no casualties. Well, except for Neji. However, Sasuke is thinking that Naruto will be able to just revive him when they get back to the Leaf Village. Jiraiya also tells Sasuke that the entire root force seemed to be subconsciously controlled by the late Danzo. So, he hopes that the young shinobi will be able to not be punished too severely for their actions and could join up with them for the upcoming battle ahead. As Sasuke and Jiraiya arrive at the Leaf entrance, they are shocked to see Naruto all banged up and out of breath, carrying an almost dead Konan. Sasuke catches his brother as Naruto is about to collapse to the floor, while Jiraiya takes Konan to see Tsunade immediately for medical attention. Naruto doesn't look to be in any condition to revive Neji. As Naruto wakes up, he begins yelling and is covered in a cold sweat. Sasuke is right next to him and quickly tries to calm his brother down. After a bit, Naruto finally gains his bearings. He then asks Sasuke if Konan is okay. Sasuke tells him that she isn't in a life-threatening condition anymore, fortunately, but is still far from being back to normal. This at least eases Naruto a bit. Sasuke then asks his brother what happened that caused him and Konan to look so messed up. Naruto coughs a bit, then tells Sasuke that he needs to talk to Tsunade as he has some very crucial intel he was able to gather from the Akatsuki. During the time Naruto was unconscious, he had uncovered the encrypted memories he acquired from Kisame. Naruto invites Sasuke to listen in to get an idea of what happened. As the two begin to head over to the Hokage office, they bump into Lee, who has come by to check up on his friend Naruto. Naruto apologizes to Lee as he doesn't have time to chat, as he has some very important news to deliver. This, of course, makes Lee curious, so he follows Naruto as well. When the three arrive to the Hokage office, Tsunade can already tell the situation is urgent. by reading Naruto's aura. Naruto then begins relaying his info. He first begins by telling everyone that the masked man has collected both Rinnegan from Nagato, killing him in the process. He also mentions that the masked man has a Mangekyo Sharingan that makes it so you go through him when it's activated. He then reveals what he learned from Kisame's memories. The masked man is not actually Madara Uchiha, but another villain altogether that he has never seen before. To further increase the severity, apparently their main goal is to revive the actual Madara from the dead. Naruto assumes they will use Rinne Rebirth since the masked man now possesses a set of Rinnegan. This news shocks the entire room. The masked man, who we'll call Tobi for now, is already a powerful adversary, and now they are planning on adding a god-level shinobi to their ranks. Furthermore, Naruto attempts to relay some information about an army the enemy has as well. However, he doesn't know any other details, since this is where the memories get vague since Kisame killed himself before the memory transfer completed. Tsunade, now knowing the full extent of the situation, is moving in high gear. Before meeting with Naruto, she had already been contacting the other great villages to share info and unite for the upcoming battle. So far, she has only been able to recruit the Sand Village and the Cloud Village. The reason the Raikage was so willing to join the Leaf is that they wanted revenge against the Akatsuki for capturing and killing B. Furthermore, with this new confirmed intel, it could be what they needed to motivate the other villages. After Tsunade gets off the call, she tells everyone that the other great villages are willing to meet for a 5 Kage summit that will be held in the Land of Iron. They have agreed to allow 2 bodyguards. Suzune is an obvious choice since she is Tsunade's archangel, basically. However, Tsunade has a hunch something might go wrong during the summit and decides that it would probably be best to bring the 2 Uchiha twins instead. Lee is another great choice based on raw power, but he isn't the best to have in these serious situations, for obvious reasons. Lee will just be tasked to stay back in the village to train and protect everyone while the meeting is happening. Anyways, he is still working hard with Guy Sensei to master the 8th gate before the big battle happens. It is the day of the 5 Kage summit. Tsunade is leading the meeting with her vast amount of intel on the situation. As she is laying down all the facts, the Mist and Rock Village are beginning to see the importance of joining up together. The mood really switches over when Tsunade says that Madara Uchiha will be revived very soon with the Rinnegan that the masked man has acquired. The other Kage refute this claim as they can't comprehend how anyone could be completely revived from the dead. The closest jutsu that they have heard of is the reanimation jutsu, and that jutsu has a lot of drawbacks on its own. Tsunade unfortunately can't think of any way to get past this claim. As this is going on, Sasuke remembers an important detail he forgot to mention to Tsunade. He whispers to her that they could show Naruto revive Neji. The revelation of such power would push everyone on their side. Tsunade's first reaction is to scold Sasuke for forgetting to mention to her that Neji had died. But regardless, the plan does sound like their best option. They bring in Neji's body, and Naruto uses Rinne Rebirth to revive him. Neji, after so much time, finally wakes up and sees he is before all the Kage, and doesn't necessarily know how to act, so he just bows. Naruto is now out of commission, but all the Kage are astonished about the feat of power. But then realize that the masked man also has access to this power, and that they need to move quickly to stop him from using it. The remaining villages, and even the samurai, accept Tsunade's offer to join together as one in the coming battle. However, as the 5 Kage summit is going underway, a disturbance is felt in the Leaf Village. Rock Lee is currently doing some solo training outside the village. During this time, Tobi has located Lee in hopes of extracting some of the Nine Tails. Tobi begins creeping upon Lee, but before he can grab Lee, Kurama senses Tobi's disgusting and familiar presence and takes hold of Lee's body to move him away from the masked man's grasp. Lee at first is confused about what's going on, but then notices Tobi. Lee then connects the dots. Tobi has come to test out his might in a fight. Lee was worried he would get bored waiting for everyone, but is happy to see the bad guy has come to him to play. However, Lee's fun is quickly ruined as Kurama takes hold of Lee's body and turns into Kurama friendship mode. Lee doesn't know what's gotten into Kurama. He then notices Tobi's Mangekyo Sharingan. Lee then gets it. He says,
"Oh, you must not like him for the same reason you don't like Sasuke or Naruto. He has red eyes."
Kurama then just responds,
No, you fool. That's not the reason why. This masked man is the same person that had the audacity to control me so many years ago.
Lee, unable to get a hold on Kurama, and Kurama, fueled with rage, falls right into Tobi's trap. Tobi wasn't here to fight KFM Lee one-on-one, but just wanted this opportunity to extract as much of the tailed beast chakra as he could. Even though Lee and Kurama were warned about Tobi's special power, Kurama's rage makes him forget all reason and he attempts to smash the masked man, failing miserably. Tobi then uses this opportunity to use his Rinnegan to get a hold of the Nine Tails chakra, immobilizing the two. He begins extracting some of the chakra. However, fortunately, before Tobi was able to suck Lee clean, Guy Sensei comes in with a dynamic entry at the nick of time, forcing Tobi to release Lee. Before Lee or Guy can retaliate against Tobi, he is already gone since he got a sufficient amount of the Nine Tails chakra. We now move back over to the 5 Kage summit. As the Kage and Samurai are finalizing their plans, Tobi shows up among them. Before he can utter a word, the right Kage goes for an attack, but same like everyone else, goes right through him. Tobi then laughs and announces war on all of the world. He also mentions that he has an army waiting for them all, and that they should get ready. As Tobi is sinking into the ground, he quickly mentions as a parting gift that he has acquired all Nine-Tailed Beast chakra. This leaves a big lump in everyone's throat. This news especially worries Naruto and Sasuke, as they believe Lee must have been captured somehow. With no time to waste, the Kage finalize their alliance and each start to head back to their respective village to start preparations. All great shinobi nations are in high gear to gather their forces and ready themselves for the fight against the masked man and Madara Uchiha. The Uchihas and Tsunade were able to quickly make it back to the Leaf Village to check on Lee. They were happy to find out that Lee was doing well, but does have them worry how easy it was for the masked man to infiltrate and attack Lee. Also, they can't fathom what Tobi will be doing with the power of all Nine-Tailed Beasts, but they know it won't be any good. As Tsunade begins losing her cool, Naruto, Sasuke, and Lee tell her not to worry, as she should be confident in their power and all the hard work they have been putting in. This is especially true for Lee, who tells them that even if things go to the worst scenario, he will be able to use the special ability that he has been working on with Guy Sensei. Also, Naruto recalls working with some very capable shinobi during his time under Orochimaru, and he believes that they would join them for the fight. One of them even having outstanding healing abilities. This now officially begins the war arc. In the last episode of Naruto Uchiha, the 5 great ninja villages and samurai finally decided to join forces for the upcoming war against Tobi and his mysterious army. Tobi has the entire world in fear due to his threat in reviving the god of shinobi, Madara Uchiha. This will also be a good time to reveal some power scaling for the upcoming battle. Naruto Uchiha, with his Rinne Sharingan and all the training he has gone through, not to mention he's a perfected Uchiha Hashirama mutant, is a quite bit stronger than canon dual Rinnegan Madara Uchiha. This means that Naruto easily passes his strongest KCM mode version in canon. Sasuke Uchiha's power ranks in between his canon beginning war arc and his Sage of Six Paths form, so a nice middle ground. He has the same abilities as canon EMS Sasuke, but the training with a more powerful Naruto and Lee has increased his power. As for Lee, that we shall figure out in due time. We now return to the current state of affairs. Most villages have finished preparations for the battle. Naruto has informed Tsunade that he will need to go on a quick journey alone to recruit 3 powerful shinobi that will help them in their battle against the enemies. Tsunade is a bit hesitant to send out one of their most powerful shinobi away from the battlefield, but believes Naruto's old comrades would be a great addition. Naruto immediately heads out to Orochimaru's different hideouts. As for Sasuke Uchiha and Menma Uzumaki, aka Rock Lee, Tsunade tasked them for a very important duty for the upcoming battle. She wants them to locate Tobi and attempt to stop him from reviving Madara. She knows that the villain is very sneaky, but she knows Sasuke's detective skills and intelligence is best to none. Also, she is happy to inform that they will be having an additional ninja join them that will aid in the recon and travel. The ninja being Sai. Fortunately, once he woke up, he seemed to have turned docile. Sasuke's Genjutsu reversal was a success. However, Sasuke interjects by saying that he believes Kakashi Sensei would also be a great person to have on this mission. He specifically mentions him because of his unique Mangekyo power. Sasuke doesn't say it out loud, but he feels that somehow Kakashi and Tobi's visual prowess might be connected in a way. Tsunade has complete trust in Sasuke's judgment and agrees. Now, with these four on a mission to locate and stop Tobi in his tracks, the allied shinobi forces could have more confidence in focusing on Tobi's mass mysterious army he had hinted at them. Before Sai, Sasuke, Kakashi, and Lee leave, Tsunade specifically asks Lee to provide the pre-battle speech to encourage the rest of the forces. She knows Lee might not be the wisest person, but she definitely knows that that kid can make any grim situation seem conquerable. Lee is a bit nervous and hesitant to accept her offer, but then he thinks this would be the perfect way to share his motivations to the world, like Guy Sensei always told him to do. As Lee walks up in front of thousands of shinobi, he gives a thumbs up, takes a deep breath, and says,
We are connected and are strong because of our friendships with each other. Let the power of youth lead the way to victory. Yosh!
After his speech, everyone just stands there quietly looking at Lee with his thumbs up to everyone. A person coughs in deep silence. However, after a few minutes of Lee just standing there with a big smile and thumbs up, slow claps can be heard, and then a roaring cheer is picked up. It took some time, but now everyone is pumped up for the upcoming battle and believe they can do it. The shinobi forces move out, and so does our four main squad. Now, moving back to Naruto, he has just arrived at one of Orochimaru's hideouts. This is where he will be recruiting Suigetsu. As Naruto moves through the dark corridors of the creepy underground tunnels, he comes across a lab housing a water-filled glass container. He bangs on the glass a few times to see if he receives a response. After a few times of doing so, Suigetsu finally responds with annoyance. However, his mood changes once he sees Naruto, who he hasn't seen in quite some time. Naruto updates him on the situation and that if he promises to help him, he will break him out. Suigetsu, now knowing Orochimaru is dead, has some motivation to want to leave, but he isn't a fan of the whole war thing, so he says he would rather just chill here. This makes Naruto a bit frustrated, calling Suigetsu a wimp. However, Naruto then recalls something that might persuade him. Naruto knows Suigetsu wants to obtain the 7 swords of the mist, so he tells him that he can show him where one of those are, and he can have it. Naruto remembers that the shark man he fought a while ago had some type of sword, and while it was at the bottom of the lake, Suigetsu didn't need to know that. This news makes Suigetsu's eyes sparkle, and he finally accepts to join Naruto. The two next head off to the prison-like hideout where a shinobi known as Jugo is restrained. Naruto wants him for his exceptional power with the curse mark. Once they get to his cell, Jugo is on a rampage. Naruto unlocks the door and Jugo bursts out. Since Naruto is the closest on sight, Jugo goes to kill Naruto. However, Naruto just blocks and dodges each of his hits. He then grabs Jugo's arms and throws him on the floor. While Naruto isn't as good at genjutsu like his brother Sasuke, he was able to use it efficiently enough to turn Jugo back to his normal state for the time being. Jugo is astonished that he is back to normal, and then finally recognizes Naruto. He remembers that Kimimaro had great respect for him all those years back. This, on top of the fact that Naruto can save Jugo from rampaging, earns his loyalty. Naruto then says perfect, and then updates him on the situation and what his plan is. Jugo follows and agrees to help make his plan a success. The trio now go to recruit the final member of their team. Her name is Karin. Naruto remembers overhearing Orochimaru that her healing abilities are remarkable, so she would be a great benefit to their war efforts. When the crew arrive on scene, they are stopped by some guards. Karin comes out threatening the intruders that they will feel her wrath for trespassing, but then when she finally comes out, she immediately forgets what she was saying, and her face flushes red from seeing Naruto. She begins squealing and goes to get Naruto a big hug, but he dodges her. She then gets herself together as best as she can and apologizes for her rude guards. Naruto tells her it's no problem at all, as he thought the whole thing was a bit funny. She then blushes again and begins touching her fingers together, wondering why Naruto came all the way out here. Naruto then tells her that they came out here for her, of course, because they really need her. This makes Karin's nose shoot with blood, knocking her back and passing out for a few seconds. Naruto, with his extraordinary speed, is able to catch her before she falls. This act doesn't help her cool down the slightest, but just adds to the emotion she is currently feeling. After a few minutes, Karin is able to stabilize. Naruto tells her about what's going on with the war and how her healing abilities will be a great help. Now that she hears the whole story, she's a bit saddened that Naruto wasn't there for her specifically, but is still happy that she came all the way out here to ask for her help. She obviously still agrees to join their team and help with the battle ahead. Now that the team is finally completed, Naruto notifies the communication team. He then gets an abrupt message signaling them to hurry over to the battlefield where Sasuke and Lee are, as things are beginning to look dire over there. Naruto and his team immediately rush over. We now transition over to Sasuke and Lee's team a few hours prior. They are continuing their search for Tobi's location. After a tedious hunt, Sasuke gets the lead. They have just uncovered Tobi's location. He hadn't revived Madara yet, so they just made it in time. However, while unknown to our heroes, Tobi's plan was to lure them to his location and take them out right then and there. Our team, just seeing Tobi alone, feels confident they will be able to defeat them together. But little do they know, Tobi is summoning something huge, something monstrous. A big explosion happens, and out comes a giant beast. It is the Ten Tails. The easy fight our team thought they were facing just got a lot harder. Fortunately, Lee looks to his team and says he will be able to hold back the beast with Sai to allow Sasuke and Kakashi to fight Tobi. Sasuke gives Lee a thumbs up. As Kakashi and Sasuke begin their battle, Tobi is pretty confident he will be able to defeat these two, as he knows they won't be able to land a single finger on him. However, what Tobi doesn't know is that Sasuke has planned ahead with Kakashi to counteract Tobi's almost unstoppable permeability power. Without wasting any time, Sasuke immediately turns into his full-powered Susanoo form. He readies 2 arrows infused with Amaterasu and shoots it at the menace. Tobi doesn't even bother dodging it, as he believes the fool's efforts are futile. But then Kakashi uses his Kamui to warp one of the 2 arrows. As the first arrow in the current world passes through Tobi, Tobi begins laughing and smiling maniacally. However, after a brief few seconds, his laughs and smirks turn into bloodshot screams of pain, and a face turns into complete agony. The arrow that was sent to the Kamui dimension managed to land a solid blow on Tobi, tearing his abdomen. Furthermore, the Amaterasu began to engulf the rest of his body. Kakashi and Sasuke, while enacting a gruesome plan, feel that it was a success and they finally defeated their biggest villain. However, within a few seconds, Kakashi begins yelling. Sasuke quickly looks over to see Tobi impaling his sensei from behind. Sasuke doesn't know how this is possible. He looks back to where Tobi's burning body was and sees that it's gone. Tobi has sacrificed his Mangekyo Sharingan to perform the Izanagi and revive himself, stabbing Kakashi in the process. Sasuke, witnessing all this happening before his eyes, snaps and immediately grabs Tobi by the neck and slams him to the ground. He then proceeds to beat him with his fists until Tobi is lying on the floor on the brink of death. His mask is still slightly intact, but even if it wasn't, his face would be indistinguishable at this point after the beating he received. Afterwards, Sasuke immediately runs over to Kakashi Sensei. He is still alive, but is losing blood at a very fast rate. Sasuke doesn't know what to do as this casualty wasn't in his calculations. To make things worse, Sasuke begins hearing an evil laugh coming from Tobi's directions. He then quickly looks back to see half of Tobi's body black, and also him weaving a familiar hand sign. It is their sign for Rinne Rebirth. Sasuke attempts to stop him, but it's already too late. Sasuke looks around to see something disastrous happen, but nothing seems to occur. He then theorizes that since Tobi only had 1 Rinnegan, he wasn't able to properly complete the Rinne Rebirth since he has only seen it done with a pair of Rinnegan. Fortunately, not all seems grim. Within a few moments, Team Guy makes an appearance to the battlefield to provide backup as he heard things were beginning to look grim. Neji can see his fellow comrade Sasuke has gone through the worst. He begins calling out to him and running over to see what he could do to help. However, Neji's voice gets immediately cut off as Madara's ultimate Susanoo slams into the ground, squishing Neji, killing him instantly. The fully revived Madara has finally appeared, and all we can hear in the background is a half-hearted scream by Tenten. Neji. Our hero's grim situation just hit the fan, and things look to only get worse from here. With Tobi now dead, Black Zetsu quickly creeps over to Madara. He not only updates him on the current situation, but also provides him with the Rinnegan used by Tobi and the spare Rinnegan they have stashed. Within seconds, Madara turns from his already powerful being into an even more outrageously powerful foe. As everything is happening so fast and so unexpectedly, Sasuke's brain is getting fried. Currently, Sasuke is such a low threat to Madara that he doesn't even notice him. He is currently looking around to see which direction the Ten Tails went. Sasuke knows he can't let Madara escape as Lee and Sai already have their hands full fighting the Ten Tails. But he isn't able to move. However, as Sasuke is sitting there still, a slight cough and whisper can be heard from Kakashi-sensei that finally brings Sasuke back to reality. Sasuke looks down at his sensei as he struggles to get the words out. Kakashi gives Sasuke a glare of encouragement and tells him not to worry about him. He'll be able to push through. He wants Sasuke to stop worrying about the unpredictability. He knows being calculated creates the best probability for success, but sometimes Sasuke needs to be unpredictable like his brother Naruto. Just let your power roam free and protect the ones you love with all your might. He further states that if he doesn't have enough power to just rely on your friends and have fate without your twin brother Naruto will arrive on cue like always. Sasuke then chuckles a bit and thanks his sensei. He lays down Kakashi and gets up. He immediately turns into his ultimate Susanoo form. As Madara is getting ready to fly off, he unexpectedly gets body slammed by Sasuke and pushed into the ground. Madara slowly gets up, cracking his neck. He then tells Sasuke that it looks like the Uchiha brat has some fight in him. I guess you weren't just a helpless child after all. Then, he quickly roundhouse kicks Sasuke, making him fly back. Sasuke grabs the ground to stop his momentum, but as he looks up, Madara is already caught up to him. Sasuke quickly ducks Madara's punch and tries to counteract with a kick. To his surprise, Madara takes the blow and grabs his leg, pushing him to the ground, grappling him. Sasuke, now forcefully being held down, squirms to get out of the hold, but Madara's girth of power is just too large for Sasuke to handle at once. He is being overwhelmed. Sasuke is putting all his power to hold out, but it looks like this might be the end for him as he begins blacking out from the mass strain of pain of his entire body. As Sasuke is about to see darkness, he begins seeing a ray of white light appear in the pitch of black. He then begins to feel a nice warmth surrounding his body, and as he opens his eyes, all he sees is white. He then realizes he is nibbling on an unfamiliar red-headed girl, which immediately snaps him back to his senses. Naruto then casually just looks back at his brother and says, "It looks like you finally woke up. Can't believe I caught you sleeping on the job." As Sasuke is still dazed, Naruto introduces him to Karin and says there are two others that went over to help Lee and Sai with the monstrous beast. After Sasuke attempts to take all this info in, he then asks what happened to Madara. Naruto then casually looks forward and Sasuke does the same. He finally realizes where they are. They are inside Naruto's giant white Susanoo, and currently Naruto's wailing on Madara. Sasuke can't believe the same person that was destroying him ruthlessly a few minutes ago is now being put in his place by his twin brother. This of course is making Madara furious. Even though he would normally like a good fight, he wasn't expecting to be pushed so hard by a kid, and on top of that, he somehow has the Rinnegan? Sasuke then remembers Kakashi-sensei and immediately tells Naruto that they need to save him. He was on the brink of death. Sasuke points to his location. Naruto quickly sends Madara flying back and goes to Kakashi's last location. He sees him on the floor and sweeps him up. Madara noticed Naruto moving in the opposite direction, but instead of following after him in blind rage, he thinks it's time that he gets his plan into motion and begins heading over to the Ten-Tails Beast. As this is occurring, Karin is able to help stabilize Kakashi. However, Naruto looks back expecting to counter Madara, but notices he's gone. Both Sasuke and Naruto realize that he must have gone to where Lee, Guy, Tenten, Sai, and the other two from Naruto's team are located. They immediately began rushing over as they knew their friends would be in trouble. Moving over to Lee, he is currently holding out his own quite well with the assistance of Sai against the Ten-Tailed Beast. He does, however, need to constantly have his 7th gate open to move fast enough to dodge the beast and hold it up, which is producing a lot of strain on his body. Once again, Lee is not using Kurama's power as 1, he doesn't want to rely on it, and 2, Kurama isn't bothered for a fight like this. Fortunately, Guy-sensei, Lee, Jugo, and Sugetsu arrive on the scene to provide some backup. Lee doesn't know the two new people, but he's glad to get some help fighting the behemoth. The group tells Lee that a new, much stronger enemy has arrived on the other battlefield. This of course makes Lee immediately jealous and complains why Naruto always gets the fun. Everyone but Guy just stares oddly at Lee that they can't believe he thinks these ridiculous battles are fun. Regardless, everyone comes together in the attempt to come up with a plan to destroy or at least stop the Ten-Tails Beast rampage. As the group finally comes up with a plan, an unexpected guest appears. It is Madara with his giant Susanoo. He immediately brings a wave of fear to our group, which holds all of them in their place. All but Lee and Guy, who give each other a specific glare. Guy tells Lee to get ready, and Lee responds,
"Right, Guy-sensei!"
The two power up fully to the 7th gate and charge at Madara. As the two go for a combined explosive pincer attack, they just get swatted away to the distance by Madara. Madara then ignores the others and goes straight for the 10 tails. His goal is to absorb it into himself. Lee is currently deep in some rubble. He begins hearing Kurama inside of him. The presence of a cursed Uchiha, especially that of Madara, has awakened the beast. He tells Lee that he needs to stop messing around and for them to get serious. He has fought against Madara many years back, and as much as he hates to admit it, he says he lost. They need to stop him now before he causes more damage. Lee is shocked to hear Kurama express himself so much. This really brings tears to the young taijutsu user's eyes. He then wipes them away and says,
"Let's do this, best bud! Kurama friendship mode activated!"
Kurama, with a long sigh, activates his chakra. Lee can now feel his stamina being replenished and his body healing as he is still in the 7th gate. It is crazy for him to think that he can exert so much power without much strain on his body in this form. The two now blast off towards Madara. Madara, believing he is able to absorb the 10 tails without a problem, is quickly smacked down by Lee. This of course angers Uchiha, but before he can counter Lee, he is already back on him, smashing him with a fury of air punches and kicks. Madara is getting quite annoyed with Lee's constant barrages. He also understands that the wretched renegade imposter will be here shortly to add on to the annoyance. Madara looks to see the stationary shinobi standing in the distance and plans to use them as bait. Madara quickly switches out of his Susanoo form at the last second, which catches Lee off guard, and he kicks Lee a few meters back. This gives Madara a chance to create meteors aimed at Sai, Guy, and the others. As Lee attempts to counter Madara again, Madara shakes his finger back to back, saying no no no, and points to the giant meteors heading towards his friends. Lee just grunts and goes quickly to save his friends. He powers up and says to Kurama this shouldn't be a problem. He uses a dynamic entry and smashes the meteor. Unfortunately, Lee was not paying attention to the other meteor above the previous one. He didn't have enough time to turn around and destroy it. Fortunately, in just the nick of time, Naruto pops up and slashes the second meteor. Everyone is relieved to finally see Naruto has arrived on scene. Lee goes to meet up with Naruto and is glad to see everyone is okay. Naruto then tells Lee that they should team up to finally bring a stop to Madara before he comes up with any new sly ideas. However, before Lee can utter a response, a giant explosion can be heard from Madara's direction. Everyone looks to see the 10-tailed beast gone. Everyone is confused about what just happened. Then, as the smoke clears, they see a small white dot emerge. It looks to be Madara in a new odd transformation. Naruto and Lee are not too sure what Madara had done, but they are still confident that they can take him out together. The two charge at Madara, but before they can even get close to him, two other Madara spawn before them and knock them back. As the two get up, Lee asks what just happened. Naruto looks confused at Lee and asks how he didn't see the two Madaras before them. Lee then says he couldn't see them, but he could feel something's presence before them. Then they realize that they both have different ways of sensing these strange clones. Unfortunately, when they look back to Madara's direction, they could see and sense that there are 5 Madara clones. It looks like the two will have to do their best to get past these nuisances before moving onto the real Madara. While this is occurring, Madara finally is able to activate his infinite Tsukuyomi plan. He starts off by spawning the giant tree, rips off his headband, which reveals a Rinne Sharingan, and begins the mass genjutsu. As Naruto and Lee are attempting to fight the Limbo clones, they notice everything begins getting bright, even though it's the middle of the night. Naruto begins having a really bad gut feeling about this situation. He then quickly grabs Lee and activates his Susanoo. He looks to try to reach the others, but he won't make it in time. His friends are wrapped up by the bandages and taken towards the tree. After some time, the light from the jutsu finally dissipates. Madara, thinking he had put everyone under the jutsu, is annoyed to see that all the pests he was fighting are completely unharmed and hiding within their Susanoo. This surprisingly makes him furious. He is fed up with them and plans to end their lives the second they disarm the Susanoo. He turns one of his truth-seeking orbs into a long, thick black rod and grabs his shaft for good support. He is going to throw the rod at the unexpected Naruto and penetrate his heart. As the hero's Susanoo deactivates and Madara is about to attack, he gets penetrated from behind. He sees red blood dripping from his chest. He doesn't understand what happened, and once he looks back, he sees Black Setsu. Naruto and Lee, once out of the Susanoo, looks to the sky to see Madara impaled by a dark figure. Black Zetsu, yelling over Madara's groaning, says he was the main villain all along and begins activating some technique that makes Madara's body expand. Everyone is just watching this horrific sight unravel. Then, after a bit of time, a large demonic-looking woman is formed from Madara's body. She releases some of her power, which destroys part of the mountain range like it was paper mache. Naruto is a bit terrified by the view. At this point, all hopes of winning the battle and saving everyone looks to be gone. Kaguya notices Naruto and begins approaching him. As she gets close, she looks to have a face of sorrow. Black Zetsu speaks up and tells Naruto that the reason Kaguya is sad is because he contains the chakra of her child Indra, and even a bit of Ashura's. However, Black Zetsu is aware of the real reincarnate of Ashura. However, when he looks to find him for his mother, he is nowhere to be found. Then, out from the distance, something can be heard. As the sound approaches closer, we hear
Dynamic entry! Real Lee style!
This translates to Dragon Lee, and within the next few milliseconds, Lee smashes into the Kaguya's body, completely annihilating her body along with Black Zetsu in a flash, leaving no traces. Naruto is completely silent and shook after witnessing what just happened. He doesn't know what to say or do. Then, Naruto looks over to see Lee's body. It is smoking, but looks like he's still alive. Barely. As Naruto looks towards Lee, he feels some instincts that tell him how he can release the infinite Tsukuyomi. With his Rinne Sharingan and by touching Lee, he's able to deactivate the jutsu, saving everyone. Afterwards, with a lot of help from Karin, Lee is able to stabilize. Naruto asks him what he did. With Lee unable to properly explain, Kurama takes the wheel as it was his plan anyways. He starts from the beginning. Kurama, for a while now, never trusted or liked any of the Uchihas, especially Madara. However, he does say that Lee was the first real friend he had ever had. One day, he had a really bad premonition about his friend. And so, for the past years, while Lee refused to use his chakra, he would meditate and begin evolving a plan for this exact day. While Naruto was watching Madara's transformation, Kurama told Lee it was finally time to risk opening all 8 gates. Lee, knowing he could die, did not hesitate as he did completely trust in Kurama. The activation of the 8th gate in Kurama's friendship mode gave them so much power that it easily overwhelmed Kaguya. On top of that, Kurama extracted parts of other tailed beasts during the impact, saving what he could. With Lee's unwavering determination and Kurama's chakra, Lee was able to survive and win. The entire crew is astonished by all of this. Naruto is especially impressed. Surprisingly, after the entire battle was over, no one had died. Lee then asked about Neji. Naruto, with a shocked face, had not even realized their friend wasn't there. He feels that he had just enough chakra to revive him, fortunately. Once completed, everyone can thankfully see Neji get up from the distance. As he approaches everyone, he notices Lee on the floor and rushes over. However, from the stress, he doesn't watch his step and slips on Madara's rod, falling and breaking his neck, dying once again. All that can be heard is Lee saying,
"No! They killed Neji!"
and Tenten responding, "You bastards." And that's where the movie ends. If you stayed all the way to the end, I applaud you for your commitment. I also have other movies on screen if you want to check that out. But until the next video, guys, much love, Neon out.